Hello and welcome back. Firstly, I would like to start by apologising. I have not really been playing Warframe that much. If you've been keeping up to date with me, you'll know that I've been posting a few Revelation Online videos, and in that I did explain that my work has set me on a stupidly long course. So, being away from Warframe for a while, I've not had really much chance to do any videos, and skill fade is real with this game. As such, I've actually been struggling to do sorties solo, which is, I don't want to brag, but that's unusual for me. So I thought I'd kick straight back into it by doing a video on what I think is possibly one of the most skill testing and strenuous frames in the game, Vauban. Now, I say that loosely because obviously people play differently, but for me, I don't play Vauban that often unless I'm really doing sort of like a Law of Retribution. For me, Vauban is a very Law of Retribution orientated frame, and as a solo frame, I don't rate him that highly. It might be because of the build I'm using, it might be because I just suck at Vauban. However, I am going to showcase the build I am using at the moment. For me, it does work very well, but there are two things that are very dependent on it, and it is one, your skill level, and two, how you manage your energy. So, with that in mind, this build I'm using in a law situation is very, very dependent on the EV Trin. Efficiency wise, although it's at 130%, which sounds okay, possibly could be better, particularly with my strategy, which is spam 3 and 4 like a bastard. However, it does work quite well as a solo frame. With that, you will need Zenuric. I also use Energy Siphon just for that extra little help. Anyway, on to actual Vauban. He is possibly one of the most crowd control orientated frames in the game. He literally is a crowd control demon. His one ability, or no, not very crowd controlly, it does help boost that little bit of damage. It doesn't do a lot, but you can stack it a vast amount, and it can be quite helpful in certain situations. He's very trappy, he's very huntery like, so if you're up for a bit more of engaging gameplay, he is probably the one for you. His 2 ability is probably one of the first radio abilities we've seen. Since they added it in, they've then put it onto other frames such as Ivara. I think actually Vauban and Ivara are actually the only 2 frames with a radial ability, and it does work quite well. A lot of people see this radial ability as a bit of a troll thing, mainly because you've got an ability on there called Bounce. Just showing here exactly what his one ability does, Tesla. This is about 7 stacks of it against one enemy. Takes a bit of time, but it does work. If you hit them directly with it, it causes a blast proc, and from there the actual damage from the Tesla itself does electricity damage with a chance of the proc itself. But hey, the main thing is his 3 ability, Bastille, which you can see there. I recommend using a dark energy colour for it, such as black, because particularly in Law of Retribution, you can literally block out the entire screen if you have a fancy, vibrant colour. And with someone like me who is desperately colourblind, all you're going to do is piss me off because I can't see shit. So just FYI on that one, just look out for your fellow Tenno and go with a dark colour. I do recommend black if you can get it. He is an outstanding frame. It takes a bit of a while to get used to him. I still am not used to him, and with the way I have built him, you do end up with a little bit of a lack in survivability. There's no redirection, there's no vitality. However, his passive does play quite a bit with this. For every ally you have within 20 meters, you gain 25% armor. That does sound pretty impressive, but he doesn't have that higher armor to begin with. You can double his armor in Law of Retribution, but this won't help you much. Again, showing here Tesla, it's not the greatest thing. It does work quite well if you can get Vortex in there as well, because it can arc between them all and can do some pretty impressive damage there, but again, it's not the highest damage, and it's just electricity. tripwire from his radio ability. This serves no purpose other than being absolutely hilarious. I mean, what is that? They simply fall over. It does no damage. It slows them down a little bit, but other than that, it's got no real practical means. Shred is, I actually find really useful. This does some pretty hefty damage, as well as it serves off as a nice fuck off button. Everyone loves a fuck off button. You've got concuss grenades. This actually deafens them for about 8 seconds and can make him a little bit stealthy, as they can't hear gunfire. So if you want to take them out without being heard or seen, it can be helpful. It also gives them a guaranteed radiation proc, which again is also quite helpful. I have actually taken to using Atarax, or the Baby's First Sentinel, with him, purely because it just helps the crowd control due to the cold proc, helps slow them down. He's quite squishy, so I find this combination works quite well. Beyond that, you can use Shred in conjunction with Bastille or Vortex, and it does work quite well. Using his Tesla ability, it sticks to allies and enemies, and it can just be quite funny, particularly if you're in a party with a melee frame. It just helps soften the blow. And to be honest, it is just pure hilarity, this frame. He is classed as a bit of a troll frame. You can set up traps using concuss grenades as well as shred, throw things around using bloody Tesla, and just generally mess around. Now, the build I'm using, I've got 2 builds. The first one is a Bastille build: Energy Siphon, Power Drift, Prime Continuity, Intensify, Streamline, Stretch, Repelling Bastille, Overextended, Constitution and Prime Flow. The second build is pretty much the exact same, but instead of Power Drift I'm using Cunning Drift, and instead of Repelling Bastille I'm using Perpetual Vortex. Now this I find works quite well in a bit more of a melee basis, because you can get everything close together and you can stack the Vortex for a very long time. This helps with farming, particularly in the mutagen sample area, if you're still looking for Hemmer or just various other things. You can just grab everything in a nice close area. Downside being it is very energy demanding, so an EV Trin is possibly the way to go along with that Vauban in your party. You can see there the timer stacking up quite high. That's 219 seconds in total, and you spawn a bunch of enemies and you can just leave them there for as long as you want, or just get your nice big hammer out. I'm using Fraggle Prime because it hits like a truck, and ta-da. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.